You can find them inside computers, smartphones, cars, household appliances, and robots. Microchips. Our digital world would be impossible without them. And they're getting smarter all the time. In fact, every 2 years their performance doubles. But conventional technology is reaching its technical and economic limits to pack even more electronic switches and circuits onto even smaller microchips. For the engineer Eric Loebstra and the physicist Vadim Banin, it's obvious. Light is setting the limits. Microchips are made on silicon wafers by exposing their surface to light like a film, a process known as photolithography.
Each chip consists of billions of transistors. And you cannot carve them with a hand. What you basically do is you make a pattern which you want to project on the wafer. And lithography is just a machine which projects this pattern on the wafer. The smaller the wavelength, the smaller the lines we can produce.
The current generation of chips is made with light with a wavelength of 193 nanometers. Shorter wavelengths just don't work anymore with normal lasers. It's impossible to make better chips using that method. This limitation was already predicted 20 years ago. And that's exactly why Vadim Banin and Eric Loebstra worked on the development of a completely new technology. Extreme ultraviolet lithography, or EUVL for short. However, EUVL first needed a new light source. A high-powered laser was fired onto tiny drops of tin, heated up to 500,000 degrees. This process emits extreme ultraviolet light, with a wavelength of only 13.5 nanometers. This makes it possible to create electronic structures 5 millionths of a millimeter in size on a wafer. However, putting the light to work inside a new machine was anything but easy, because it gets absorbed by the air and glass.
Means that we have to go into high vacuum systems, which we didn't do before, and nobody did. And we need to use optics to projection, illumination and projection optics to project the mask on the wafer. And normal optics doesn't work in this wavelength. We have to make mirrors, and not just mirrors, but multi-layer mirrors.
This posed a big challenge for Eric Loebstra and the employees of Zeiss. Only after lots of calculations were they able to know which physical properties these new mirrors needed. After all, they had to replace glass lenses for directing the ultraviolet light inside the new machine. Without the strategic partnership between the Dutch chip machine manufacturer ASML and the German optics company Zeiss, producing mirrors like these probably would have been impossible.
We say magic we do in an instance, and miracles take a little bit longer. The reflecting material, to make it is not that difficult. To make it efficient is very difficult. The game was to make your mirrors so that they really reflect only the EUV and not all the other wavelengths.
The mirrors that capture the light and then guide it through the scanner also need extreme performance, and they also have to be incredibly smooth. For comparison's sake, if this mirror was the size of Germany, any unevenness on its surface would need to be no more than 1 millimeter high. And there was a further challenge.
Our big enemy are particles in the system. And even if one particle of dust will get on our mask and will be projected on the wafer, then the chip will not work. And when we talk about the particle of dust, we talk about a particle of the size of 30-40 nanometers, which is more than 1,000 times smaller than hair size.
The solution? A fine membrane to keep away the dust particles. Extremely thin, but still very robust. But at first, nobody knew how to produce this material.
I was watching a documentary about how they make the swords in Japan. And what they do there, they make the swords with a lot of layers of the steel. And next day I talked about with a colleague of mine who was producing this thin membrane. He said, well, that's a good idea. Let's try this. He made a phone call, and in 2 weeks we had the first sample.
Like the Japanese katana swords, the membrane now consists of several ultra-thin layers. These keep dust particles away from the mask. But they still allow the extreme ultraviolet light through to expose the wafer. It took 20 years to develop extreme ultraviolet lithography. More than 1,000 people worked on it at ASML alone. Without patents, developments like these would be quite impossible.
You need patents to secure that you can use your own inventions, that you can do what you want, that you have your hands free.
When the machine will produce the first chip in a mobile device or wherever, it will be kind of quiet and life fulfillment.
Extreme ultraviolet lithography is now ready for the market. In the future, 256 gigabytes will fit on a microchip the size of a fingernail. And it will hardly consume any electricity at all. Technology for €1 billion business.